This morning, Laura and I were discussing the typical condition a person experiences as a result of stress. Laura described how her consciousness changed. She felt like she was watching the world through a dream. I have experienced the same thing myself. I felt that too. You should know that such experiences happen when a person's life is heading in the wrong direction. But actually, everyone's life goes in the wrong direction if you really think about it, because for it to go in the right direction, you need to have knowledge of how to make it flow correctly. Life cannot just automatically move in the right direction on its own, because life itself flows in the direction dictated by this world. This world is woven from temporary happiness that we receive from it. A person living with all this happiness gradually develops an attachment to all of it without even realizing it. Then, unfortunately, a sobering moment comes which leads to deep stress. I recently read about people lying in hospitals after they went to fight for their homeland. They lost an arm or a leg, and now they're lying there wondering whether they did the right thing by going to war. Life today is not so simple. Before, it was simpler because people fought for God. Everything was clear to them. If someone was injured, they didn't regret it. But now, if we commit certain actions, go somewhere, and do something significant, and lose part of our body, we may feel seriously stressed. That can cause a deep psychological trauma, linked to an understanding that perhaps our goal was chosen incorrectly. Similarly, we can invest all our strength in a loved one. We invest all our love and care in someone we love and then discover that they don't need us. People separate and relationships end. That causes severe stress. In Riga, a woman approached me and said, "I don't want to think so much about my ex-boyfriend anymore. I don't want to consider him mine because he has another family. He long lives with another woman. He has completely forgotten about me. Yet, I keep thinking about him." Even when we don't want it, these things happen. And that's already a kind of punishment, because a person must realize one simple truth. Everything in this world is temporary. No one will stay with us forever. Not husbands, not children. Everything here has a temporary nature. But if we help others honestly, if we care for them sincerely, then we don't regret anything. When someone behaves correctly with their relatives, when they have the right attitude, they don't regret anything. Only bright memories remain in their heart about those who were near. This is righteous love. There was a very elevated person who passed away. I constantly prayed and thought about him. He lived in Vrindavan, in a holy place. I spent several years of my life near him. I learned from him how to live for God. He passed away in a very elevated way. I still don't feel like he is gone. I feel his presence and his influence in my life. The soul has an eternal nature. We remain connected even with those who pass away, with our relatives. We remain connected with these people. There is no such thing as parting. We don't part from anyone. But why does stress occur? Stress does not arise because we love someone. Love never causes stress. Stress comes not because we love someone, but from wanting happiness from someone. These are different things. Love means to give, but the desire for happiness means enjoyment and attachment. We want to enjoy someone. This desire for enjoyment is what causes stress. In every person's life, suffering comes unexpectedly and gradually increases. Suffering is inevitable. We live in this world. We will all suffer, whether you're Dr. Torsunov or not. You'll have to suffer. There are short-term sufferings that aren't very strong. Some sufferings last several months. There are very long sufferings that can last a year or two. But even in this case, that's not necessarily stress. Stress is not suffering. Stress is when a person loses their life thread, when they no longer understand why they should continue living. That is stress. Suffering just means you are facing a difficulty in life. You work through it and you overcome it. Sometimes even suffering does not cause stress. You suffer, but it's just your life's extent of work in life. We just work on this suffering. If we work, we move forward. It's a process. This is not stress. Stress is when a person does not understand why they should continue living. That's what stress really is. I'm sorry I said that. You seem sad for the first time during my lecture. I'm surprised you've been listening to my lectures for 10 years. It's amazing. I probably wouldn't listen to my own lectures for even a day. I'm always amazed by people's constancy and loyalty. So there are short and long-term sufferings, but if a person has a high goal in life, it's not stressful. Stress is when the meaning of life is lost. And the loss of meaning in life can be short-term. This is called a reaction. It occurs unexpectedly. A friend betrays you. Maybe you didn't trust them much, and you managed to get through it. They betrayed you, but you survived. Maybe it wasn't too serious and now everything is fine. You continue to recover from a state where the purpose of life has been lost. It can last several months. This is called a stress reaction. Usually a stress reaction indicates that it wasn't the highest goal of life that was affected, but just a particular goal. There are different types of goals. There's a whole hierarchy. There is the highest goal of life. There are vital goals, such as taking care of your health. That's a vital goal. If you don't take care of your health, your life is at risk. Then there are important goals, such as getting an education. This is important in life. There are also secondary goals. A stress reaction means that a relatively high-level goal is impacted, or some vital goals are affected, but real stress occurs when the highest goal of life is affected. Unfortunately, we often make things like building a house, raising children, or loving someone our highest life goal. This is incorrect thinking, but it happens spontaneously. We cannot control these things. Sometimes a stress reaction occurs when changing countries or places of residence, when your sense of space narrows. You feel like everything has turned gray, flavorless, and you just don't like anything around you. According to the Vedas, this is called Rasa. Rasa means taste for life. A person's taste for life has a deep meaning, though most people don't know about it. When a person moves abroad, they bring their own rasa with them, their own flavor for life and relationships. An acquaintance of mine told me how he stayed in a Western country for some time on a business trip. After several months, he felt that certain tastes in his life were not satisfied. He started to feel homesick. Then when he returned to Russia and customs officers swore at him right at the customs border, he sighed with relief. His taste for life was a little different from Europe. For others, it's the opposite. They come to Russia and can't stand looking at all the dirt. Each person has their own taste for life. When that taste for life changes, a stress reaction may occur. But this usually doesn't lead to stress, because stress means that you don't see any meaning in life at all. If you live only for your country and the goal of your life is your country, this can cause deep stress. Some people fall in love with their homeland like this. They live for their country. If they end up in another country, they become sad and can no longer live there because they are used to their homeland. They are deeply attached to their homeland. They like it there. But this is also incorrect. A person should only be attached to God, to holiness, because this is the most stable attachment. Attachment to a holy person, the taste for God does not disappear over many lives. A person remembers this taste later and is drawn back again. That taste is impossible to lose. I remember when I first sensed that I was missing something sublime in life. I was still very young. I was 12 or 13 years old and felt drawn to spiritual life. I searched for my spirituality and my faith. I was searching and trying to find it. When I came across Vaishnava culture, I immediately knew it was mine. This was long before I started to engage in spiritual practice. It was around 1988. I saw a book, an underground edition. There was a drawing of dancing Vaishnavas. It was a clandestine edition. A friend of mine covertly bought this book. When I saw the picture on the cover of the book, I said, "I did this in my past life. Give me the book." She resisted for about 2 hours, then cried. She gave me the book and left. I practically extorted this book from her. At the time, I wasn't ready to accept everything. I started reading the book, but I couldn't deeply understand what was written there, so I put it on the shelf. I felt it was mine, but I wasn't ready yet. This search for God can last a long time, but as long as a person hasn't felt the taste of a relationship with spiritual life, living without it doesn't feel like stress. Stress comes when there's a loss. We have some taste for life and then suddenly it's gone. That's what causes stress. A person lives for something they believe in, and then it disappears. They lose what gives them happiness. A woman loses her child, and she may keep nursing the baby, even though the baby is no longer in this world. There is such a phenomenon. Either she is hallucinating or something else happens there. She keeps rocking the baby and puts the baby to bed for some time, although the child is not there anymore. This is an expanded state of stress. The reason why a person falls into such a state is that they were not ready to receive that happiness. The woman was not ready to receive maternal happiness because she didn't have a higher goal in life. The psyche immediately makes the child the highest goal, and that's it. No arguments or alternatives matter. Naturally, this leads to stress, because a child cannot be the highest goal of life. Sooner or later, suffering will follow. What's worse is that it often happens when the child grows up and the mother realizes she is no longer needed. This creates a serious psychological issue for a woman. Such a woman, even without wanting to, begins to age. If a woman is not needed by her child, she loses beauty. She loses happiness and joy. She becomes gloomy. Because when we live for someone, we are always happy. When there's no one to live for, we begin to wither. Our life begins to wither. That's why it's essential to understand very well how all this works before delving into relationships. You should care for your child, but always consider God as the highest goal in life. It will be better for both the child and you. If something difficult happens to the child, you won't break down. You will remain strong and be able to help the child. Because you will be a source of strength for your child instead of taking strength from them. Why does stress occur? Stress comes from clinging to a source of strength that is temporary. Everything in this world is impermanent. Sooner or later, the source of strength will disappear. Its time will come to an end. As a result, a person gets lost in life because a person cannot live without the sun. If you confuse a firefly with the sun, disappointment is inevitable. That's the problem. We are now talking about stress that comes from choosing the wrong goal in life. There are also other types of stress that are generally not related to the choice of life goal. These proceed differently. These other types of stress are more like triggering reactions to difficult events, rather than stress in the true sense. These types of stress arise as a result of the influence of past fate. I will explain them now. Today, a woman approached me and said, "It is very difficult for me to engage in spiritual practice. I don't feel any happiness." Her statement indicated two things. The first is a certain stage of spiritual development. At the first stage, a person experiences a lot of spiritual happiness, which comes as a gift from God. Then comes the second stage, when a person must work on their own to experience spiritual happiness through their relationship with God. God stops giving his gifts freely, but in her case, something else was layered over this second stage, which is called stress associated with the influence of Saturn. When the negative influence of Saturn appears, a person's perception of the world becomes dimmed. They feel inner fatigue, they lack energy, they lack strength. They feel that once easy tasks become much harder, the person also feels mentally weak. This mental weakness means that it's difficult to endure relocations. Even healing practices become more difficult than before. Stress under the influence of Saturn can manifest as a loss of opportunities in life. For example, it becomes harder to find or keep a job. Living in society also becomes more difficult. Some people, when Saturn is pressing on them, simply cannot work at all. They go to work, but it's just unbearable for them to work because they have no strength. This especially often happens with women. For men, it is somewhat easier in this regard. But with women, when stress from Saturn arises, they simply cannot work. They have no strength, and they stay at home. Sometimes this influence of Saturn causes severe headaches or a sense of pressure, as if something is pressing on you from the outside, and you suffer from it. It's important to know all these things. This has nothing to do with intelligence. This condition is simply a test sent to help a person grow stronger if they increase their healing practices during this time. So what should you do when the pressure of Saturn is active? You need to understand that during this period you must simply make extra efforts to maintain your health. Let's distinguish two types of stress. The first type of stress is, for example, when your loved one has passed away, or you were fired from a job that you lived for your whole life, or you were imprisoned but long for freedom. When someone deeply desires something that defines their life, and they don't have it, then a situation arises where the person feels that they have nothing to live for. They feel there is nothing to live for. This is called stress. Then there is another kind, when everything in life seems normal, things are fine, you live, and everything is good, but suddenly you lose strength and can no longer function or do something in life. This creates inner despair, a sense of injustice, and a feeling of being lost. This too can be called stress. But this is not the kind of stress that has defined stages of development. There are 14 stages, which I will explain later. This is simply a new test that either strengthens you or breaks you, one of the two. You just need to understand the rules. If you find yourself in a situation where it's harder to find a job, harder to work, harder to exert yourself, if everything inside feels very tense, if you have headaches, more fatigue, more lethargy, if life feels harder, more restricted, for example, you cannot travel, or you are not allowed to leave the country, and so on. There are many different options, and all these options mean that I don't have the freedom to live as before. Something is constraining me, holding me back from being active. That is the influence of Saturn. Do you want to ask a question?
Is it okay to take a pill for a headache?
You can take a pill for a headache. It's like a fly is bothering you, and you put a plastic bag over yourself. The fly still flies and crawls on the bag, but it doesn't bother you as much anymore. Your head continues to hurt just the same, but you simply don't feel it. You take a pill and think that everything is fine. In reality, nothing is fine. Your head didn't get better. You just distracted yourself from the pain, that's all. You deceived yourself during this time, but what choice is there? Your head hurts. You need to take a pill or do something so it stops hurting. So what can you do? When a heavy influence of Saturn comes, I offer several options for actions that might help and work for you. All these options are healing practices. One is a static pose. There is the diamond pose. When you read a prayer, sit on your knees, on your buttocks. When you sit motionless for a long time, your body starts to go numb. What does this numbness mean? It means the body's subtle energy channels are colliding with the energy of Saturn, causing an effect similar to anemia. A person should keep praying and believing that everything will be fine, while at the same time trying with all their might to relax. Usually numbness scares people and makes them tense up, but you need to try to relax instead. When you manage this with the help of thoughts about a holy person and of the divine, that brings great lightness and purity in the body. You begin to adjust to this energy of numbness, and an interesting thing happens. It seems like your body has gone numb and is going to fall apart. But the opposite occurs. After numbness, the body unexpectedly begins to relax, almost as if it enters another level of life. You begin to feel lightness throughout your body, as if you've broken through something. What are you doing by breaking through this way during healing practice? You're neutralizing the heavy influence of Saturn on your body. I do this every day now. Saturn has now entered the house associated with my body. This is called the ascendant. It will stay there for 2.5 years. My body is structured in a way that any trip and every action affects my spine. If I don't practice yoga for 1.5 hours each day, even for a week, I won't even be able to bend. My spine stiffens so much I can't even bend to reach the ground. Every day I have to spend 1.5 hours bending forward and backward to release this energy from my body. My body is flexible, good, strong, and performs well, but only because I do healing practices. If I didn't, things would be very different. I would look tense, with a stiff body, like this. The fact that you absolutely cannot do it means that your mind is rebelling. To prevent it from rebelling, you need to think about a holy person and put your will and desire into your prayer. Prayer will give you energy that will flow into the body, among other things. You don't need to endure anything. Just think of holiness and relax. The longer you sit, the deeper your concentration becomes. Because of the body's tension, the numbness in the body causes strong concentration. If you channel that concentration toward holiness, your prayer becomes 5 times more focused. It begins to return the energy of happiness to you. This energy of happiness will begin to relax your body. It will start breaking through the blocked energy channels. At that moment, you will feel how the body relaxes. The headache goes away, everything opens up and clears, you feel like being born again. Then you need to gradually shift to another posture and similarly break the energy channels through the other position. A few body positions each day, and your body and psyche are free from Saturn's influence that day. The next day you do the same thing again. Continue doing this every day until the difficult period passes. Once it does, you no longer need to push hard to restore yourself and stay in balance. The second option is breathwork. There are techniques to inhale and then slowly exhale. Or suddenly hold your breath on the exhale, stop exhaling, and then continue. Holding your breath on exhale frees you from the negative influence of Saturn. If you have a headache or feel heavy or weak, hold your breath on the exhale. It purifies your body from the negative influence of Saturn. Another powerful tool is fasting. When Saturn is heavy and negative, when life feels difficult, a raw food fast helps. Eat only raw food and your body gets cleansed. Prana from raw food strengthens the channels and heaviness lifts. The body feels light, good, and clean. Heaviness goes away.
How long should this fast last?
As long as Saturn presses down. You eat this way until you sense the shift. When you feel that you don't need it anymore, you stop. Everything is determined by how you feel. I've listed all the problems associated with Saturn, such as a feeling of heaviness, weakness. Yes, the woman feels it. Saturn is pressing on her. Weakness and headaches occur. This is Saturn's doing. That inner constraint, that sense of limitation, is unmistakably the influence of Saturn. It is overcome by internal asceticism. Without it, this negative influence of Saturn leads a person to a feeling of their own inferiority and inadequacy, of not being enough, of lacking strength or will. There is a feeling of little willpower, of few opportunities, and that spiral pulls us into stress. In fact, the negative influence of Saturn can lead to real stress. If our only life goal is to live comfortably and joyfully so that everything is good, we feel stress because such a life doesn't exist. You begin to think that something is wrong with you. You constantly feel heavy. It's hard to live, and you feel bad.
Which of us has Saturn?
You, for sure. You are now under the influence of heavy Saturn. It's a difficult period for you now. But when this period passes, everything becomes normal.
What if someone is in a good mood and they are fasting on milk?
If you're fasting on milk and feeling good, look at your situation. You live on milk, right? You have a lot of fire in your body and you are living only on milk and feeling good. What happens here? That milk neutralizes the influence of excess fire in your system. That's it. For you, this fast is normal, but that's very rare. Without milk, you'd likely have heartburn, poor digestion, intense irritability, and so on. Raw food is also suitable for you. You can switch to a raw food diet, but not all people can do the same. This is a feature of your body. You have a very strong moon, and when a person has a strong moon, their body digests milk well. But when the moon is weak, it's difficult to digest milk. You have a strong moon plus a strong Mars. Strong Mars adds a lot of fire to the body, but with the energy of the moon, you extinguish it when you consume milk. It works for you. There is no danger for you at all. Everything is always individual. In your case, there's no need to worry about anything. Sometimes Saturn hits us for just a day or two. How does this manifest? You'll feel joint pain, intestinal pain, severe weakness, and deep fatigue. Digestion may halt. This is a sign of short-term Saturn's influence for a couple of days.
What if a child is under the influence of Saturn for years?
You're talking about a long-term influence, then yoga, only yoga and long-term healing practices. But sometimes Saturn's pressure is so great that it leads to cerebral palsy, autism, and seizures in a child. Then it's time for treatment. We now have powerful methods still developing but already showing great promise. We have learned to select specific roots that relax the body. These roots carry the energy of fire. They neutralize the negative influence of Saturn. These roots soften and release the tension in children with autism and cerebral palsy. We can send these roots remotely. It's not even necessary to come in person. These roots remove Saturn's negative energy.
How do you prepare for the influence of Saturn if you know it's coming?
But maybe Saturn will be good and kind. How do you know? Why prepare if Saturn is good? What if it doesn't carry any negative influence?
I already fear.
You don't need to prepare for anything. If it becomes heavy, do more yoga. Hatha yoga always reduces the influence of Saturn, and so does any healing practice for the body or breathing. Saturn also represents love for work. If you love your work, if you work with love, the negative influence of Saturn always weakens. There are also mechanical ways to neutralize Saturn, like wearing stones on the middle finger. You can place blue stones on the middle finger. That finger is generally associated with Saturn. Each person has their own stones that are suitable for the middle finger, linked to Venus, Saturn, and Mercury. If you want to place a certain stone on your finger to neutralize negative influences, it's better not to choose it yourself. Better contact us for help. We will select a stone for you individually and you will wear it. But know this, stones don't last forever. We have conducted serious long-term research, and we found that stones do not work indefinitely, as I used to think. The more precious the stones, the longer they can stay on a person. But if a person wears a stone all day and takes it off at night, then even a precious stone cannot be worn for more than 8 to 10 years. This is the maximum. I had a 4-carat emerald. I wore it for 8 years, and it had 30% of its power left. So I stopped wearing it because it's not effective. Corundum, emerald corundum, lasts about 3 years maximum, and then it completely wears out. Cat's eye wears out in a year and a half. Pearl, just in 1 year. Sapphire, if it really suits you, can be worn for a maximum of 6-7 years. Then it loses power. When it is fully depleted, it can even become harmful.
Is it not possible to recharge them somehow?
No, it's impossible. Once the energy is gone, you have to throw the stone away.
Can they be sold?
Sold? You must have Jewish blood. I had the same thought.
What if it has been lying around for years?
It can lie around for 100 years, even 1,000 years, no problem. But once you put it on your body and start wearing it, then the countdown begins. The stone starts neutralizing the negative influence of the human body. This neutralization weakens karma.
When you soak a stone in salt water, it eventually gets neutralized. What's your view on this?
You're asking for my view unnecessarily. This is about knowledge, not just my point of view. I'll explain everything to you now. You'll understand everything. It will be simple. Have you ever seen a flower wilt and then bloom again? No, right? It doesn't work that way. A stone, just like a flower, holds life energy within it. When a person wears a stone, this life energy gradually runs out. Every living thing has a finite reserve of life energy. If you put a herb on your body, it can only stay on your body for 12 hours. After that, it no longer has any life energy. Its prana ends, and it's energetically depleted. If you take a root, its continuous wearing on the body is 16 hours. But since roots act very strongly, a person cannot endure wearing them for 16 hours. Most people can only wear roots for 3 hours a day, so the wearing may last a few days. When a person wears a stone on their body, the stone lasts much longer because it has a different nature. Its life energy is different. It remains longer. It's essentially a battery. It can be compared to a battery. However, the difference is that you can charge the battery and use it again. Unlike a battery, stones cannot be recharged. They lose their vitality. Once drained, that's it.
How long does coral last?
I wore coral for about 2 years. If it suits you well, it expends energy quickly. 2 years, and that's it. It loses its power. Stone placement is complex. You will never be able to figure it out on your own. It's all very complicated. There are 2 ways to wear stones. One option is to wear them for fate, and the second option is to wear them for health. To wear stones for fate, you need to wear extremely expensive stones. A stone less than 4 carats does not affect fate, only health. A pure 4-carat emerald costs at least $5,000–6,000. A very pure 4-carat ruby costs around $200,000. A 4-carat diamond costs about the same. Wearing stones for fate is not practical nowadays. Most astrologers don't know this. I do, because I've been studying this all my life. I know exactly which stones influence fate and which help health. Most people can wear stones for fate. Big, pure, beautiful, precious stones suit nearly everyone, but they are rare and costly. They are very expensive. It's difficult to get such an opportunity by fate. And if you wear a 1-carat stone, it no longer affects fate. It affects health, not fate. 1-carat sapphires, emeralds, and rubies are suitable for just a few people. Not everyone can handle that energy or has enough strength to wear such stones. Our experience shows that semi-precious stones work better for health than precious ones. We study this very seriously. You can see this arrangement of stones. At the top are stones that have the maximum power of influence on the sun. Then it decreases down the line, finishing with the weakest. Most people benefit from stones in the middle to lower part. These stones are suitable for constant wearing, but they affect health, not fate.
Do these suit every person, or must they be selected individually?
First, you pick one type of stone. Then, from 30 stones of the same kind, you need to choose one. One of these 30 10-carat stones will suit you, but you need to choose the type of stone first. Then you chose one individually. Out of approximately 30, one is selected.
Can you select one for us during these days? Or do we need to go somewhere?
No, this can only be done at our clinic.
Can't it be done now?
No, we'd risk making a mistake otherwise. A stone becomes fully understood only after wearing it for several days. Only when a person wears it can we understand for sure that this stone suits them. You need to stay with us for 5 days. We decorate you like a Christmas tree and test different combinations. We can select stone beads. Beads strongly affect the psyche. This is very delicate work, and we work with several stones. They are selected by number. Every link and every stone is carefully chosen. The number of links is precisely selected. It's intricate work, but when a person puts it on, that's it. They're fresh as a daisy. Here, there's a girl wearing beads. Ask her. She'll tell you that when she takes off the beads, life is not the same anymore. Beads strongly restrain the psyche.
Can't an astrologer do this?
No, only we can. No one except me possesses this knowledge now. These are the results of my scientific research. I am conducting scientific research in this field, and I'm ahead of the curve. No one understands what we do. If you show this to someone, they won't understand it. Others place stones thinking they know how it works. This is playing around. They are just guessing. We're now taking the lecture in a different direction. Please don't ask any more questions on this topic. You're steering the lecture off course now. This topic is closed for discussion. You won't understand anything about it anyway. It's very complicated. It's like explaining how to remove an appendix. Or how to perform surgery. Placing a stone on a person's body is similar to a surgery. It's very complicated and delicate. There's no point in talking about it now. You may have a different opinion on this matter. Many astrologers think that this is not the case, but as we say in surgery, the autopsy will show.
My child is 3 years old and doesn't sleep well at night.
This is not Saturn, it's the moon. And stress associated with the influence of Mars. This is not stress, but simply life difficulties. Mars creates difficulties in life. When Mars gets strong, a person faces several sudden challenges in life. The first aspect is strong assertiveness towards other people and aggressiveness in behavior. A person begins to behave very harshly. They choose a harsh style in communication with other people. They get angry, get confrontational, fight with others, battle, or try to prove their point. Irritability, anger, and assertiveness are all signs of Mars' excessive influence. This is one aspect of excessive Mars influence. A person might have never had this before in their entire life. He starts to feel that he's acting wrongly. That means a difficult period associated with Mars is underway. The second sign is heightened sexuality, when suddenly sexual thoughts and images flood their head. Let's say this wasn't the case before, but now it's as if you simply can't do anything about it. This is also Mars' influence. The next thing Mars does is it disrupts digestion. Heartburn appears, and all of this can happen at once. Consuming spicy food can cause serious issues in the body. This is Mars' influence. Inflammatory processes may begin in the intestines or stomach. These are typical signs of Mars' negative influence. If Mars' influence is very strong on the body, a person may have seizures or even epilepsy. Mars can strike the body through intense psychological pressure. There may be fits of anger or semi-convulsive states. This is a sign of Mars' strong influence. This influence can be neutralized. It can be neutralized by helping others. Start taking care of everyone. Cook for others. It's very good to cook for relatives and offer food to people. This immediately eases the tension associated with Mars. It feels easier right away. Anger passes. Serving others and caring for other people is the healing practice that makes it possible to relieve tension associated with Mars. Physical remedies like bathing also help. More contact with water cools the influence of Mars's heat. Milk is another example. Drinking milk in the evening or morning calms the person down. Milk has a calming effect. It soothes Mars. Who here has experienced this? Would anyone like to ask a question?
What should I do if Mars is affecting me?
Serve others. Care for them. The pressure eases right away. Mars weighs heavily, but it becomes significantly lighter and weaker when you behave correctly. Just serve others. Drink milk. Use water. Water, milk, and service. A diet rich in dairy food weakens the influence of Mars. Try goat's milk. If milk doesn't suit you, try clarified butter. It works for everyone. What you should know is that the essence is care. Even if it's hard for you, care for others. Mars' bad influence will vanish instantly. Obedience and humility are very difficult, but that is what ascetic and healing practices are about. They are always difficult. Here's another practice that will help you. Find an image of a holy person where their feet are visible. Mentally wash their feet and bow to them. As soon as you do this, Mars' negative influence will be released. You will feel lighter. You will feel better.
What if one cannot pray to an image?
Put the scriptures and bow to them. I bless you. May everything go well for you. Sometimes we need blessings from elders too. I also have a strong Mars, so I understand what you are going through. And I promise you, what I shared works. Next, let's talk about the sun. The sun is associated with ambition. If a person feels misunderstood or unappreciated, like they aren't recognized in society as they should be, or do not hold the position they would like, this is the influence of the sun. This can also cause blood pressure issues, damage blood vessels, and even harm the eyes. For women, it may cause troubled relationships with men. There may be generally poor relationships with everyone. All of this is possible. Event assaults against women may be a result of the negative influence of the sun.
How can one find a good mentor?
I know exactly what to do. Come here. You need to prepare yourself seriously to choose a mentor who is older than you. Find a spiritual mentor who would be like a father figure to you. The bad influence of the sun will disappear immediately. The sun also has a very challenging influence on me. All my life, my father treated my mother poorly, but I learned how to act. The Lord gave me knowledge. All my life, I have been worshiping dignified people. I do it every day. I bow to my spiritual teacher. I worship them mentally. When you mentally bow to elders, it neutralizes the bad influence of 3 planets at once. These planets are the Sun, Mars, and Jupiter. These are the masculine forces. When a person worships elders, their relationship with elders becomes more peaceful. A person under the negative influence of Mars and the Sun often faces issues with authorities and legal matters. They are under constant pressure from their surroundings in this regard. Just choose a holy person. You don't need to search deeply or for too long. Just choose a holy person you sincerely respect and consider very dignified and virtuous. Keep their image in front of your eyes and bow to them daily. Tune into them as a father, as a respected elder. This creates an inner connection with the energy of the father, with the energy of the elder. It is also beneficial for you to practice Surya Namaskar, to bow to the sun. It's a morning practice when the sun rises, Surya Namaskar. It's good to wake up early. You should avoid waking up late. If you wake up late, your day immediately spirals downward. You must wake up early. If you consistently wake up late, it becomes very difficult to overcome this in your body. Pray to God. God will help you and give you the opportunity. I have an acquaintance. He listened to my lectures for a long time. His life situation was such that he managed a youth nightclub in Moscow. Since he listened to the lectures, the atmosphere at his club changed. It started attracting people interested in higher things. Still, it was a nightclub. He began to pray to God sincerely to give him an opportunity to maintain a healthier daily routine. He wanted this very much. Eventually, his business partners betrayed him, and he lost this nightclub. As a result of that loss, he found a job with daytime hours and is now truly happy. God helps in his own way. Sometimes God intervenes like a surgeon. He cuts something away when it doesn't work out otherwise. Prayer always helps. Now let's move on to the next planet, Jupiter.
Can I ask about the sun? Is the desire for discipline and strictness from others a sign of bad or good influence of the sun?
You mean you want someone to be strict with you?
Yes.
That's actually a good influence. This is a good influence of the sun. It means you have a weak sun, but of good quality. You need people who bring structure and discipline into your life. This is a good influence of the sun, not bad. You just have a weak sun.
Isn't that Saturn?
No, this is not Saturn, it's the sun. You were right to associate it with the sun.
You said to worship a holy person and treat him like a father. Must it be a man?
Yes, it must be a man. That's a requirement.
Can we replace him with you?
I'm not a holy person.
Then who is considered holy? I just don't understand. Jesus Christ?
Not necessarily someone dignified. For example, Sergius of Radnej is a good choice. Matrona of Moscow is helpful, but she will give something different. She will not support a good connection with the sun. You can, if you want, place my photo next to a photo of the person I worship. I'll show you whom I mean. Come up here, I'll show you. Only in this case, if it helps you, you can do it. But remember that I am not a holy man. A holy person is someone who can truly overcome the fate of another person. I'm just a balabol, a talker. That means I reflect a lot. Interestingly, balabol is a Sanskrit word. Bala means strength and bola means to speak. So balabol means someone with the power of speech. Many Sanskrit words have meanings in Russian. For example, the word bolvan is still used in India. It means a blockhead in English. Bolvan means a person with great physical strength. A balavan. Van means person, and bala means strength. Balavan means a strong person. In Russian, however, it indicates strength and a limited mindset in a person. In Russian, bolvan is used more sarcastically, implying strength without wisdom. Balbes, oaf, is a word that combines different elements of cultures. Balbes means a big demon.
How does the sun affect relationships with men?
There is a concept called stress from the sun. When the sun pressures you, you feel unloved, unrecognized, and disrespected. You feel like going to a swamp and eating little frogs. This is stress from the sun. When the sun is weak, finding a husband is hard. This is a different topic altogether. It's difficult to find a husband, or if you find a man, but he lacks responsibility. He promises something, but never delivers. This means a weak sun, a weak connection with the sun. To counter this, it helps to follow a proper daily routine. That alone strengthens a weak sun. Following a daily routine helps to strengthen the sun.
Is it corrected just like that? Is it that simple?
Yes, it's corrected just like that. This is called healing the sun. The power of the sun increases with the help of vows. The best vow that strengthens the sun and restores the connection with the sun is the vow to follow a consistent daily routine. When a person does everything correctly, gets up on time, goes to bed on time, eats on time, their status in society increases. They gain status, strength, and harmony. Status in society means connection with superiors. The superiors in this world are the demigods who establish order here. The main order they establish is the order of following the rules of life, not abandoning anyone, not treating anyone badly, respecting elders, following a daily routine, and eating properly. When you do all this correctly, you develop a connection with elders. Your status in society naturally increases.
But how can a daily routine change the position of the sun in a horoscope?
Good question. The issue is you worship the horoscope. The problem is that you don't understand what it is. You treat the horoscope like it's set in stone, but a horoscope is just an imprint on your fate at your birth. This imprint shows that some things are very difficult to achieve for you now because you have this imprint. It shows your initial conditions. But besides the horoscope, there is also freedom of choice. Freedom of choice is connected with God's influence on a person. When you begin to worship God, the influence of the horoscope begins to weaken. Moreover, even difficult aspects of your chart can transform into blessings. For example, I have Rahu in the 7th house. That placement usually means nothing good in family life. I can't have a normal family. I have Rahu of enormous power affecting my 7th house, completely wiping out everything living in the 7th house. What should be done? You need to serve God to love God. Then this Rahu in the 7th house will teach you how to treat your loved one magnificently, to love them deeply, to be endlessly patient with them, so much so that no one else could compare. When someone with Rahu in the 7th house begins to serve God, Rahu actually becomes a blessing. It neutralizes even the tiniest mistakes one can make. In other words, someone with extreme sensitivity in a particular area can also gain exceptional experience in that same area if they use it correctly. But please don't worship your horoscope. That's a serious mistake. A horoscope only gives a rough idea of potential difficulties in life, nothing more. It doesn't tell you anything more than that. If you attach too much importance to it, you will end up creating real trouble in your life. Let me give you an example. An astrologer once told a woman she would have 2 marriages. She was in her first marriage at the time, and this prediction became the key and decisive factor for her to leave her husband. She left her husband only because she was sure that she was destined to have 2 marriages. But this actually indicates something completely different. Astrology comes from India, yet India has only a 1% divorce rate now. How does that make sense? Currently, 30–40% of people have 2 or 3 marriages in their chart, but in India, the divorce rate is still just 1%. How do you explain that? How can astrologers say someone is destined for multiple marriages and also explain the fact that in India, people don't get divorced, even though astrology originated there? It's simple. Sometimes a person just feels that it's difficult for them to be in a relationship with the other. People emotionally separate from each other temporarily. They continue living together, although it's hard for them. Time passes and they grow close again. That's how it works. So be cautious with astrologers and astrology. Right now, astrologers and astrology are going through a crisis. The problem is that astrology doesn't understand what karma is. It's very difficult for astrologers to understand that they shouldn't even hint at divorce. Often astrologers take too much upon themselves in explaining a person's fate. They tell people their fate with certainty. You will definitely experience this or that. But what does definitely mean? The chart only indicates potential difficulties, not what will necessarily happen. The chart is just something that points to difficulties. It's not a script. Because astrologers often don't know how fate actually works, they attach too much importance to the chart. When a person serves God and lives for God, the chart's influence weakens. In general, charts don't affect everyone equally. Suppose a person lives in degradation, drinks and cheats. Their chart has little effect on them. Their reality is often worse than what is written in the chart. If a person lives in the mode of passion, you can predict everything exactly because they are under the influence of the chart. Their life is ruled by karma. But when a person lives in the mode of goodness and engages in spiritual practice, the chart begins to weaken. Its influence becomes different. Everything must be interpreted differently. Take Jupiter, for example. When Jupiter's pressure on a person increases, a person becomes disoriented. Everything they believed in loses meaning. It's as if they enter a space where there is a re-evaluation of values. That's Jupiter's negative influence. It causes a re-evaluation of values. You need to recognize this particularity. Suppose someone has strong faith and engages in spiritual practice. Then a bad Jupiter period comes along and suddenly they begin to lose that faith. But this isn't stress, it's just mechanics. Any negative planetary influence simply indicates that you need to put more effort in a particular area, and that's it, nothing more. It's all mechanical. For example, Saturn is negatively affecting my body right now. The body feels stiff due to the influence of Saturn. This is just mechanics. I just need to perform more healing practices. I simply do an hour and a half of yoga every day and that's it. Saturn's bad influence fades. My body functions just fine. If Mars exerts a negative influence, we respond by learning to serve others with love and care. Mars' bad influence disappears. When the Sun has a bad influence, we learn to respect our elders. We put more effort there and strain ourselves in this direction. The Sun's bad influence fades. The bad influence of any planet only means one thing: the amount of work we must put into a particular area. It means that you need to make a greater effort. Don't see it as anything else. To see it differently is to fall into hopelessness. It means that we fall under this influence. We become puppets in the hands of this game of fate. Don't be afraid to put more effort into something. Suppose you are experiencing a bad influence of Jupiter on you right now. The bad influence of Jupiter means weakening of faith. Right now, as you listen, you may find it hard to believe what I'm saying. This is the bad influence of Jupiter.
It's difficult for me to pray.
Yes, and I thought you would behave differently. There is one joke in this regard. Actually, it's not a joke, but it's funny and true. A spiritual teacher calls his student and says, "Listen, why aren't you working on this problem of yours? Every time I advise you, you always respond, 'No, it's different for me.'" The student listens to what his guru explains to him and then says, "My spiritual teacher, I don't have this problem." This is exactly the bad influence of Jupiter. At first you were about to say the same, but then you came to your senses. Otherwise it would have been like in that story. You have a very strong and stable Jupiter, so when there is a bad period associated with Jupiter, since the planet is strong, it doesn't suffer much. It causes small disruptions. You are under pressure from Jupiter. It's not stress exactly, but the amount of work. You need to put more effort into restoring relationships that are falling apart. This is happening under the influence of fate. To restore deteriorating relationships requires great inner strength, but applying that strength is very simple. There's only one way to do it, through the energy of Jupiter, which represents the guru. Think about your spiritual teacher, your mentor. Pray. Remember these people, and your relationships with them will begin to restore and heal. Nothing more needs to be done. This alone is enough to neutralize everything.
Good afternoon, Dr. Torsunov. I have a question. I have reduced my external activities and started developing my internal spiritual life. Am I doing the right thing?
Absolutely. You have changed your tactical approach. What have you started doing? You have started solving all these problems through your heart. This is a very good choice. This is exactly how to respond to all external planetary pressures. You increase the volume of healing practices and reduce external activity and outward engagement. Yes, 100%. If you continue like this, you can completely neutralize the bad influence of Jupiter. 2 hours of prayer every day, and your day will go smoothly. No one will be able to influence you negatively. I had a situation in my life when, according to my fate, I was supposed to come under the scrutiny of authorities, resulting in imprisonment and court proceedings. I foresaw this 2 decades ahead. Something significant was supposed to happen at the age of 48. When that time came, a whole group of people began to discredit me. They tried to defame me and attacked my reputation from all angles. They sent letters to various authorities and government bodies. They even wrote to the president. So what did I start doing? I prayed. Sometimes prayer lasted up to 8 hours a day. In those 8 hours, I neutralized the bad karma. But by the next day, it would pile up again. It was as if I served my sentence in prayer. I prayed, and I couldn't let myself be distracted. I had to keep praying 8 hours a day. It felt like being in prison. I had to pray continuously, and that's it. Eventually, that fate ended. It took several months. This karma dissolved. Those trying to hurt me were powerless. They couldn't do anything against me. Everything depends on us. Every single person helps us solve the issues of our fate. To label these people as bad is to misunderstand. These people are very good. They help us solve the issues of our fate. People who help bad planets influence our lives are good people. They give us the opportunity to work on ourselves. There is no other reason for this influence. Without a higher sanction, no one can do any harm to another person. This is impossible because there will be no inspiration for action. Therefore, prayer is the strongest force. A person's right conduct, duty, and prayer are the driving forces for our victory over any fate. A person can burn all karma in one lifetime and go to the spiritual world. Nothing about this is written in the horoscope. So let's continue. What is Jupiter? It's when trust is lost in relationships and between people. It's when people don't trust you. Society turns against you. Inside, you lose faith in your own work. Sometimes people simply don't want to go to work. They feel no drive, no enthusiasm. When a bad Jupiter period comes, immunity is lost. Viral infection begins to attack more frequently. When this is combined with the loss of enthusiasm to work, loss of motivation, everything feels dull. You long to go somewhere else, to escape. That's the bad influence of Jupiter. But remember that Jupiter means the guru. At this time, just thinking about your spiritual teacher dispels the bad period of Jupiter. Everything is restored. Everything returns to its place. All these changes require a great inner effort. Now let's talk about Venus. It should be known that all of Europe is under the strong influence of Venus. Everything you see around you, beautiful streets, orderly houses, kind and gentle faces, the gentle treatment of one another, is the influence of Venus. Europe is under the influence of Venus. Beautiful, soft clothing is also the influence of Venus. Kind looks, generosity, people giving more, these are all expressions of the influence of Venus. Venus is a devout and Brahminical planet. It is a planet connected with the higher principle. It is responsible for a person's happiness in life, for a happy life. People who live in Europe either aspire to go to heaven or they came from there. There are two categories of people, those who dream of ascending to heaven and those who have come from there. They are born here. Heaven is like a resort of the highest order. A resort where everyone enjoys themselves. The paintings you see, the Renaissance era, the European style of painting, half-naked, graceful Apollos with grapes, idyllic scenes, are all depictions of heavenly planets. This energy came from there. It came from there and was embodied here in this life. Even the Christian spiritual tradition, the theme of faith in God and Jesus Christ, was shaped like this. These are the heavenly planets that influence the thinking of Europeans in this way. What to do with this? Is it good or bad? This is normal. It's better than being influenced by hellish planets. I recommend you change your direction. You see, there are two roads to heaven. One road leads to pleasure and the other road leads to spiritual life. There is the solar path and the lunar path. If a person serves God, wishes happiness to everyone and wants to live happily for God, they follow the solar path. But some people just want to live well without needing any God. If they honestly fulfill their duties, if they do everything properly, they get to heaven via the lunar path. They end up on the planets where one enjoys life. But after that, they descend again. The solar path is the path of dharma or the path of duty to God. This is the path of service. There are people who want to live honestly, devoutly, correctly, but do not cultivate God in their hearts. These people follow the lunar path. People who follow the lunar path, this is a kind of curse. You may see a young man who is very handsome, charming, kind, good, and responsive, but he has two problems. The first problem, he is a drug addict. The second problem, he doesn't want to work. This means that he came from higher planets along the heavenly path to Earth, but since there is no proper upbringing for such people here, he ended up not knowing what to do and how to live. How is he supposed to live? People don't work there. He's not used to working. People there just enjoy themselves. He wants to enjoy. He injects drugs and doesn't want to work. This means that in the next life, he will go to hell. The path to heaven is already closed for him. Therefore, a major problem in our time is that there is no culture of educating people who come to Earth from other places. That's why such people suffer greatly. We don't need to go to heaven, we only need to go to God. Maybe we pass through the higher planets, but only to reach God. We don't need heaven itself. There is no need to remember past lives. There is a concept called bhava. This is when you are drawn to something. If someone cursed a lot in a past life, and in this life hears cursing, they feel drawn to it and want to curse too. This is called bhava. Or if someone was a dog in a past life and is now born in a human body and hears people arguing, they are drawn to it, they run toward it, wanting to see what's going on. This too is bhava. Similarly, if a person practiced spiritual disciplines in past life and in this life sees or feels the scent of spiritual life, like someone singing in a temple, they are drawn there. Something spiritual happens within, it's impossible for them to miss that. They are instantly drawn to it like a magnet. Just as a bee always finds a flower, a person always finds the path that they chose in a previous life. This path is chosen by scent, by bhava, by the feeling that lures you. But if a person does not want to go to God, they are attracted by the pleasures of this world. And when a person is pulled toward worldly pleasures, they cannot rise higher. Then their path becomes earth, lower planets, earth, lower planets. This is called the wheel of samsara. A person does foolish things here, then descends to the lower planets. They live in an animal body in the next life because the lower planets deform the subtle energy body. They spend several lives in an animal body, and then by mercy they form relationships with humans as domestic animals. Through contact with humans, they become human again. Then they mess things up again and return to hell, and this is the wheel of samsara. One singer sang about this wheel in one of her songs. Luring, luring, luring carousel, a journey in a closed circle. When Venus influences negatively, the desire for happiness becomes so unbearable that a person becomes overly sensitive. They feel permanently offended. If something is even slightly wrong, they become very sensitive. If something is wrong, they immediately get nervous and offended. They feel misunderstood, unloved, unappreciated, and uncared for. This is typical for all women because the female psyche is influenced by Venus and the moon. The moon represents mutual understanding and close relationships. Venus represents happiness in life. When a person is born in a female body, it means they are born to experience happiness in this world. The female body is designed for happiness and harmony. The male body is designed for victories. Therefore, men should create harmony for women, at least in their own home, their own apartment. Because it's not possible to provide happiness everywhere for a wife, so a man can provide happiness at least in his own home, in his own apartment, and women have the right to be capricious and torment their men with demands for greater happiness. That is their right because they are born in a female body. But since a woman's heart is closer to God, she should understand when her demands go too far and it's time to stop. She should understand when she's going too far. If her husband is running around all day trying to please her, she must understand when to stop. Otherwise, life becomes unbearable for her loved ones. The negative influence of Venus means an intense craving for happiness, high sensitivity, and being easily offended. This can even cause depression and a feeling that your loved one doesn't understand you at all, that it's impossible to live like this, that life is hopeless. Bad Venus means a person desires so much happiness that it ends up making them unhappy. The more someone wants happiness, the more they suffer. Bad Venus causes such intense craving for happiness that they lose what happiness they had. The bad influence of Venus often destroys families. When women are overly capricious, demanding more happiness, there ends up being none. They torment their loved one and he runs away, unable to endure it anymore.
How can we strengthen faith?
Strengthen it with care. A woman should clearly understand something. Every day when she wakes up early in the morning, she should remember that female birth is designed to experience love. But if she wants to receive love, she falls into a trap. If she wants to experience love through receiving it, she will inevitably end up unhappy. Her desire to experience love by receiving it must be suppressed. Instead, she should desire to give love to others, to serve others, and to serve others with her own energy of love. This means she must give love. As a woman gives love, she gradually begins to experience it fully because it returns to her. This can be explained in the following way. If you ask yourself, why does a man behave tenderly? Ladies, why does a man behave tenderly and speak affectionately? Because the tenderness comes from her. It's transformed in his heart and transmitted back to her. It's similar to offering the waters of the Ganges back to the Ganges. A man has no tenderness of his own. He borrows it from a woman. If a woman voluntarily gives her tenderness to a man, he responds kindly. That's all, that's the whole secret. But how does the psyche work? A woman thinks, why should I give tenderness to this guy, to this rude man? A woman doesn't want to voluntarily give tenderness first. Her self-respect doesn't allow her to do this. She thinks, when he speaks tenderly to me, then I will also respond tenderly to him. But this system doesn't work because tenderness comes from the woman. So she needs to pray to God and tune her heart through relationships with a spiritual mentor. Then her whole being transforms. She begins to serve her beloved humbly and voluntarily.
Is a burnt Venus bad?
A burnt Venus is the same as Rahu in the 7th house. Actually, it's the best placement for Venus. You will think about God all your life, worship Him, and every day train yourself to love everyone. Eventually you will gain so much power to love that others will feel peace just being near you. The more effort you make, the stronger the effect. A burnt Venus is like a capacitor building up charge. It is similar to a strong capacitor. A burnt Venus means a strong capacitor. Once the charge breaks through, boom, you release a wave of strong love. You can give 10 times more love than any other girl or woman, but for this you need to pray 10 times more to break through the capacitor. And that's it. Love will flow like a river. To learn more on the subject of health and healing of the body, please make sure to read my health guide, available for download on my YouTube channel or on my Instagram page. Thank you very much, and see you soon.